Gliscor, I choose you!
Hi, my name's Professor Silver, and in today's class, we'll break down the history of Ash's Gliscor, detailing how it went from a crybaby Gligar to an ace flyer. This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Prior to meeting Ash, Gligar followed a Gliscor sound waves into a city filled with other Gligar. The wind currents formed by the city's skyscrapers prevented them all from going home, so the flying scorpion Pokemon made the city their new territory. They couldn't forage for food, so they instead found sustenance by stealing from the local townspeople. Their antics angered Ash in riding the winds of change, so he and Officer Jenny conspired to send them home. Team Rocket disrupted their plans, but Gligar escaped their capture. It was too busy eating to get caught by the trio's net, so it flew to its friend's aid, cut them free, and fell into Ash. Gligar flew away thereafter, but reunited with Ash around the same time that Paul caught Gliscor. Ash had hoped for Gliscor to lead the Gligar home, but Paul cared little for their plight. With Gliscor gone, Gligar was forced to take charge and become the gang's leader. Excelling in the position, it executed Ash's plan to a T, led the Gligar to a Poké Center, and positioned them for a voyage home. Rather than go home with them, however, Gligar stayed behind and asked to join Ash's team. Ash accepted, likely because he found it humorous, adorable, and full of potential. Being with Ash was a dream come true for Gligar, so it hugged him whenever summoned. Ash appreciated the affection, but initially hesitated to use it in battle as it had almost no experience. Instead of letting Gligar battle in lost leader strategy and crossing the battle line, Ash had it watch and learn from the sidelines. It wasn't until the bells are singing that Gligar finally got its first battle. Opposite Don's Buneary, it dodged Dizzy Punch, used X-Scissor, shot off Sand Attack, tanked Ice Beam, and launched Steel Wing. Unfortunately, it failed to prove itself ready for the Pastoria gym. It volunteered for the gym battle and our cup runneth over, but Ash opted for Turtwig, Pikachu, and Weasel in the episode A Crasher Course in Power, likely because Gligar was a bad flyer. It's too bad the Pokemon world doesn't have our sponsor Skillshare, as I'm sure the online learning platform would have had Gligar covered. Skillshare offers thousands of ad-free classes, all of which allow you to expand your creative horizons, explore your passions, and learn new skills at your own pace. For all of you aspiring content creators, I can't imagine a better platform to get you started. I recently took a course on mastering TikTok by Taylor Lauren, and have used many of the learning she provided to grow my presence from 0 to a few thousand followers in only a single month. Having never posted to the platform before, I found her insights entirely invaluable. I've also used Skillshare to bolster my YouTube presence, as it allowed me to take classes on thumbnail design, writing, and storytelling. If you're like me and love to level up your skills, I can't recommend it enough. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the first link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And now back to Gligar's history. In Chimchard, Ash vowed to help Gligar become a better flyer by using it in many battles. Their first opponent was supposed to be Brock's Pseudo-Widow, but the trio's arrival led it to fly into Paul instead. Because Paul scared Gligar, it challenged his Gliscor in an effort to regain its confidence. In spite of its eagerness, however, Gligar fell to Guillotine. The loss was traumatizing, so it developed a fear of being hit. Ash did his best to tolerate the phobia, but ended up exploding at Gligar and fighting fear with fear. He yelled at the Pokemon for cowering against Weasel and Turtwig, so Gligar flew off into the forest in shame. Whilst there, it met Gary, Ash's old rival. Gary wanted to help Gligar topple its fear, so he battled it with his Umbreon. Over the course of their training, Gary discovered that Gligar feared not only getting hit, but also heights. In order to boost its self-esteem and induce evolution, Gary offered Ash a Razor Fang. Ash welcomed the gift, but didn't let Gligar hold the item until it overcame its fears in its base form. Luckily for Gligar, it did just that while saving Ash from one of Team Rocket's many schemes. Immediately after receiving the Fang, Gligar evolved into Gliscor, rescued Ash, and blasted off the trio. Evolution supercharged Gliscor's abilities, but didn't give it full mastery over flight. Its lack of skill in the air was used for comedic relief in both the Psyduck stops here and Doc Brock. Despite the setback, however, Gliscor maintained an optimistic outlook throughout most of its time on the series. It often appeared an emotional mess, but no matter how many times it stumbled or got left behind, it never stopped trying to improve itself. As a result, it appeared in many battles. Gliscor trained with Paul's Torterra and aiding the enemy, tied with Barry's Rose Raid and Barry's busting out all over, and beat the trio in Jumping Rocket Ship. Due to the experience it gained from the many battles, it learned Fire Fang prior to a Breed Stampede. Using the attack, it freed Grottle from Piloswine's ice, and proved itself ready for the Canalave Gym. Opposite Byron's Bastiodon, it fought at the gym in dealing with defensive types. At the battle's start, Bastiodon shielded itself from Steel Wing, stopped Fire Fang, sent Gliscor flying, and fired off Flash Cannon. Although Gliscor dodged the blast and landed a flurry of Fire Fangs, Bastiodon freed itself, retaliated with Flash Cannon, and connected with Iron Head. Refusing to give up, Gliscor dodged the very next attack, coated the field with Sand Attack, and won with Fire Fang. Beyond earning Ash the Mind Badge, the win proved Gliscor's potential for greatness. It lost several battles thereafter, but each was to a powerful foe. At the Snow Point Gym and sliding into 7th, Candace's Snover beat it with Ice Beam, Bullet Seed, and Icy Wind. Paul's Torterra did the same at Lake Acuity and Petal to the Metal and Evolving Strategies. Surprisingly, Gliscor got off to an incredible lead against Paul's ace. It obscured Torterra's vision, landed many blows, and dodged several of the Pokemon's early attacks. Unfortunately, the lead evaporated after Torterra intercepted Steel Wing and used Giga Drain. Although Gliscor freed itself with Fire Fang and returned to its Pokeball, it fell to Frenzy Plant upon returning to the battlefield. In uncrushing defeat, Gliscor overcame the sorrow it felt at losing by devastating Team Rocket with its allies. While Gliscor didn't always succeed in battle, it never failed at helping its friends. Whenever Ash required its help, it was often the first to volunteer. It went scouting in 3 sides to every story, varied in unlocking the red chain of events, and flew Krogunk into battle against Toxicroak in the battle finale of Legend. With every appearance, Gliscor became more and more confident in its abilities as a flyer. In mastering current events, its wish to master flight led it to train with Air Battle Master McCann. McCann tested its strength with his Scizor, but found it entirely lacking in power and promise. Because Gliscor couldn't read the air, it failed to land a single attack. Scizor, on the other hand, connected many times with Metal Claw, Double Hit, and Hyper Beam. After Scizor seized victory using one last double hit, McCann declared Gliscor unworthy of his time. The declaration deeply depressed Gliscor, so Ash, Pikachu, and Staraptor helped it train all through the night. It became an adept flyer by the morning, so McCann relented to a rematch. The battle unfolded totally differently from the one they had the previous day, as Gliscor had learned how to read the winds. Showing great progress, it put on the pressure with X-Scissor, evaded Metal Claw, responded to Double Hit with Sand Attack, landed Fire Fang, tanked Double Hit, and vanquished Double Team. Gliscor also debuted Giga Impact and compensated for the recharge period by retreating into the air, but Scizor won the battle anyway as it matched Gliscor's very next blow and shot off Hyper Beam. Even though Gliscor lost, its unrivaled ambition, massive boost in power, and desire to get ever stronger earned it McCann's respect. The man's acceptance was a two-edged sword, as his offer for Gliscor to be his newest pupil meant separation from Ash. It pained Gliscor to depart from Ash, but it did so anyway as it desperately wanted to become more powerful. Thanks to McCann's training, it became a total bruiser by the time Ash recalled it for the Sinnoh League. Gliscor joined his team in working on a right move because Ash wanted to fight Paul with the same exact team he used at Lake Acuity. After showing Ash how great a flyer had become in familiarity breeds strategy, Gliscor joined the fight against Paul in a real rival rouser and a battling-a-thon relations. Unfortunately, its first opponent Ninjask proved far too speedy. Ninjask activated agility, evaded Stone Edge, let loose Fury Cutter, dodged Fire Fang, and sent Gliscor plummeting onto Toxic Spikes, so Ash swapped the Pokemon for Infernape. It's upon returning to the battlefield that Gliscor finally established itself once and for all as one of the most versatile flyers in all the anime. Opposite Drapion, it leapt over Pin Missile, traded Stone Edge for Cross Poison, let loose Giga Impact, spun backward, and flew away from Pin Missile. Pin Missile eventually landed, but Gliscor held strong, dodged another Cross Poison, and won with Fire Fang. By winning, Gliscor avenged the losses of Weasel, Staraptor, and Torterra. It followed up the win by fighting Electivire, but was too tired to cause any injury. Electivire pelted it with stones using Thunder, intercepted Giga Impact, and won with Brick Break. Following the league's end, Gliscor made its home at Oak's Lab. It likely stayed there rather than return to training with McCann, because it had already become a master flyer and thought it no longer needed any tutelage. Since Gliscor is yet to return beyond a cameo in Black and White, let's get to its battle record. Gliscor beat Byron's Bastiodon and Paul's Drapion. It lost to Paul's Gliscor, Paul's Torterra, Candace's Snover, McCann's Scizor, and Paul's Electivire. Gliscor's only tie was with Barry's Roserade. Move-wise, Gliscor used Fire Fang, Giga Impact, Sand Attack, Screech, Steel Wing, Stone Edge, and X-Scissor. Gliscor's underdog nature and showing at the Sinnoh League both make it one of Ash's best wild cards. It made for many laughs thanks to its eager-to-please nature, overly emotional manner, and zest for crying. Although it had few wins, the ones it had were insanely impressive. The only thing I dislike about Gliscor is that it reminds me how little character development Ash's non-major Pokemon received in Black and White. If Palpitoad and Boldore got a third as much development as Gliscor did, they both would have been infinitely better off. And on that note, class is adjourned. Big thanks to Skillshare and the channel's patrons for their support. If you'd like to watch class early and get access to exclusive perks, sign up for Patreon via the link in the description. For other ways to support the channel and earn extra credit, like this video, comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you're never late to class. Until next time, catch you later.